Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier Podcast, the football podcast we bring you each and every week. It is the Monday mashup. It is Monday. Of course, my co-host is here. Wait, Marky, how are we?
I'm all good, cuz. How are you?
Not too bad at all. It's another therapy session, I have to say.
It is
Um,
indeed, yeah. I think for both of us, all right, yeah.
Absolutely. Mark, we're going to be talking about VAR. Good Lord.
Well,
My
there's
God.
plenty of decisions over the weekend, all right.
Tell you, man, this is it's getting beyond the joke at this stage. But we will be doing a Premier League review. We'll run through that, and as always, we're going to be talking about this new idea, the capping in terms of the spend.
Mm.
We'll have a quick look at that. There's a lot of things that need to come out of that. I'm going to get you to talk about what you sent me last week, the new rules in the MLS as well.
Mm.
We didn't get to chat about them, obviously, and
Yeah,
Darren didn't get to chat about them. We'll be talking, of course, about Mo Salah and Jurgen Klopp, no doubt about that. And anything else that comes up in the chat that just wants to make me even more sad. But before we begin, Mark, as always, take it away.
yes, lads. If you already haven't, get onto Instagram, give us a follow. Onto Facebook, give us a like. Like I was saying before, we're taking bookings from June, July onwards. May, we're completely booked out. We've the Legends events coming up. And I was just talking to you about the Longford Legends game in Longford on the 15th of June. They announced the two managers for the game, and if Morris is in the chat or he's watching, the Longford Town Legends manager on the 15th of June is going to be Stephen Kenny. So yeah, I'll see, can I get him an autograph? Don't you worry. And then Mike Phelan is the Manchester United manager on the day, so that'd be pretty cool,
I think Morris should go to the match and get an interview with Stephen Kenny.
He should do.
That's what he
Get
should
him on
do.
the old political campaign as his right hand man.
That's it. Absolutely. No better, man.
But
Let's get into the chat. Go ahead. Go on. Sorry. Yeah.
no, I was just going to say, so yeah, no, there's a few events coming up, and there's a big event coming up the start of August, which you can't really talk about, but keep an eye on social media, and we'll keep you informed here as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to get Tony on as well for a couple of
Yeah,
shows, and he's going to update us from the Legends group and all that kind of stuff and what's going on and what's coming up. Some really good stuff coming up, as always.
definitely.
Tony doing a stellar job there with the gang. William, well, hey, the lads. How are you,
William,
William?
what's the story, pal? Looking well.
David O'Mahony, happy Monday, boys.
Go
Is it?
on the Dave. All right, cuz.
Is it? Daz is in. Big up, Daz. Good to see you. What's the crack, Noel
How are you,
and Mark?
Daz? What's the story,
All good,
buddy?
Daz. Good to see you, my friend, as always. Right. Premier League review for my sins. And of course, we were the first game, 12:30 again,
Wait,
down at West Ham, Liverpool. Yeah, we
that
were
must
the
be a
early one.
first, is it?
First this week. First this week.
Something else, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I wasn't. I did the preview, funny enough, and it's the first time I've ever gone against my team. I expected us to get beaten 2-1.
I had a feeling it'd
Yeah, it
be a
was.
draw. I just thought West Ham would score. You just get back into it. Obviously, Bowen with the free, well, a header. I think he got one very similar against, was it Newcastle or Palace a few weeks ago or something like that in the London Stadium. But like from your point of view, obviously Salah, Salah and Klopp on the sideline, and yet the gap go incident, the goal that wasn't a goal, and it was just a mishmash of a Saturday afternoon, wasn't it? Really.
It was a complete and utter shit show.
Hmm.
And there's no other way to describe it. The two goals that we gave away are two of the most abysmal goals you'll ever see being given away. You've Jared Bowen scoring a header, surrounded by two lads at least a foot and a half taller than
Yeah,
him,
he was one
and
of the
then you have
smallest men on the pitch.
Mikel Antonio with a beautiful ball in, I think from Jared Bowen it
It
was,
was, yeah,
and he
and the
put it
header,
on a play from
yeah,
in between the two defenders. And again, shocking, no one felt to go and close him down either side. Once again, zonal versus player marking, but very, very poor. Robbo comes out in the air early, gets in there, gets a bit of luck there, and scores early in the second half.
mm.
And then we get Areola with the OG, of course. What a
It was
unbelievable,
like ping pong in the box, wasn't it, when the corner came in
absolutely.
and that? So
Yeah, and then we had one of the most disappointing scenes I've seen as a Liverpool fan for a long, long time now at this stage, which was Salah and Klopp going at it. Never thought I'd see today. Both guys have been so instrumental to each other's careers at
mm.
Liverpool. I don't know what was said. I'm sure we'll find out eventually. I'm sure this documentary coming out is going to be lit. It's
Yeah,
the curse
yeah.
of the documentary. But I'm not too sure what was said. But whatever said, it triggered Mo Salah, and he's generally not that guy. I know he can get frustrated at times coming off the pitch when he's being subbed and stuff like that and
Yeah.
all. And I think it's been a very frustrating season for him as well. And obviously, there's a lot of tension and boiling over at the moment. The season's running out in a kind of a very negative kind of way. Um, and it's just it's a struggle at the moment. There's a lot of players doing a lot of finger pointing. We heard Virgil van Dijk talking about players having to look at mirrors. We heard Robbo talking about the front line need to do much better. And it's just not our way. We've been together as a group, and it's just really really frustrating to see it
Mm.
pan out like this. Lots of talk of Salah going, lots of talk of Salah staying. Um, I don't really know where I stand on it, to be honest. I'm not too sure. I mean, he's a legend. He's been absolutely
He
brilliant for
has.
us, and his consistency has been unbelievable. But
Do you think his form of late? Cause do you think, like, we know a lot of the time, big players like Salah, we've seen it with the likes of, from a United perspective, with the likes of Beckham and Ronaldo, and these moves away from the club in the summer are usually done a good few months back. Do you think he knows that he's going to be leaving, and that's possibly why he's had the dip in form?
Well, no, I don't think that's the case. I think what happens is the whole. I think what happened is we brought the kids in, and the kids were doing a stellar job. Well, we had injuries and people away at the Afcon and the Asia Cup and all that kind of stuff. And then those players came back, and obviously Mo came back and he picked up an injury. He came back injured, and we lost him for about 9 weeks. And the one thing we've been really poor about, really, is estimating the length of time of these injuries and stuff like that. Simple calf injuries and hip injuries and stuff like that and all seem to take forever to heal up
Mm.
for whatever reason. And I think he's had a really frustrating season. And I think I could see it both ways as well. I don't think a manager should ever be disrespected like that. On the flip side, I don't know what he said to him. But
Yeah,
the other side of it as well is it's a very frustrating time for Mo Salah because obviously he's been unbelievable. He's been a global star for so long. And I just think now I think he probably feels it himself now. Maybe that his career is starting to wind down. I'm not saying he'd still play for Liverpool next season, maybe
yeah,
probably get you 20 goals. Who knows? Arnie might have a different way of playing him. Maybe he plays him in a 10. He plays with one up front or something like that, and he's more central. I think he's probably very frustrated at how wide he's had to play. I think when Trent inverts into the midfield, I think it kind of bypasses Mo, and we don't get that natural right fullback that we had before. That's running the line, and Mo is fully involved.
mm,
So you get larger periods of the game, 10, 15, 10, 12 minutes maybe, where Mo is just not involved.
mm,
And then there's a shortage of Virgil hasn't been hitting them with those crossfield balls that we used to know and
yeah,
love. Ali hasn't been finding them with the balls. So he's probably felt a little bit isolated. And I watched him in the Palace game. I spoke to you, I was at it.
yeah,
He seemed very, very isolated. And he's having to drop much, much deeper to get involved to force the issue. And when he does pick up the ball, he's picking up the ball, what you would class like a natural big forward used to where he protect the ball to turn
yeah.
rather than taking it in a
In
stride,
the
if you like,
stride,
with hitting the
exactly.
ball.
Take it
So,
on.
so a lot of things have changed, which have frustrated him, and then obviously the handling of him because he's out of form. You know, a player of his ilk doesn't want to be sat down, doesn't want to be subbed, doesn't want all these things. But it's the manager's job to manage the squad he has there in the best interest of the outcome.
Yeah.
And some people will say take a Mo Salah off or bring a Mo Salah on for 12 minutes. It's not in the best interest of the outcome, and I
No,
get
but
that.
you look on the flip side. You look at United and Ten Hag's handling of Rashford. He
Mm.
he maybe should have done that and rested Rashford like Klopp has with Salah. And what do you think if you hear all these kind of rumors that there's this big super split in the change room and stuff like that, and there's little kind of clicks and stuff?
Yeah, I mean that's naturally going to happen because what happens is you have a correlation of new players that have come in, McAllister, Dominic, Darwin to some extent, and all that. They're kind of new in there, And
Yeah,
then you also have the OGs that are in there. So you've got Virgil and Robbo and Ali and Mo and these players and stuff like that. So naturally, there's a certain amount of grouping, and then you have a sprinkling of all this youth that has had to come in and
come
fill these voids. And it's just a difficult one to bear down when you hear comments coming out the way we've heard and all that kind of stuff. And I just think I get the feeling with the way Mo is being handled. I get the feeling he felt probably like he was being used as a scapegoat for the
yeah,
failing of the season. And I think that's a difficult one. It's a really difficult one to handle. And I just think, I don't know. I think maybe with Arnie Slot coming in, again, I don't know much about him. I've read little bits and gone in as much as most people have. I don't have a view either way. He's going to be our new manager, so I'm fully going to be behind him and support him
mm,
as I do with every manager that's come in. But I just think maybe this is an opportunity, and people won't want to hear this, to maybe cleanse the decks a little bit and
mm,
maybe move on where Klopp is moving on in that Klopp era. Maybe we've seen it with Mane, we've seen it with Bobby Firmino, we've seen it with a number of players. Um, I don't like the idea of going into a new season with Mo Salah not under a new contract.
yeah,
Because you could look at that front line that we had, and like at one stage it was probably worth about 260 million, and so far we've reaped 33 million off it
mm,
from Mane. So if Mo was to go on a free, I think that would be a shocking business decision. Although there's football decisions and business decisions to be made,
Seasons as well. Yeah,
but I think when we sold Coutinho, we got in Virgil and we got in Ali. And you could see a similar situation if Mo goes for 120, 150 million, whatever he goes for, if he
mm,
goes.
yeah,
That's quite a chunk of money to give to Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes and Arnie Slot to refurb or whatever way we want to do, or if we're going to play a different way or buy a different type of player, maybe
yeah,
go in a different direction, stuff like that. You hear a lot of people talking about how Slot is very like Klopp in his way and his mannerisms and all that kind of stuff and all. But it's going to be different. And I think the worst thing we can do is start looking at things and go, oh yeah, that's like the way Klopp used to do it, or that's like the way
yeah.
Klopp you know what I mean?
Don't want to
I
get
think we
into
should
it.
just start fresh, clear the decks. You seen it at your own club. How many years did you struggle with? Oh, but he's not Fergie. This is the
Yeah,
Fergie way. This is the you know what I mean. Sometimes
yeah,
you have to turn around and go, right. Those 9 years were a moment in history in the club. Let's park them and let's create some new history.
yeah,
And I think
exactly.
and I think maybe that might be the opportunity. It scares the life out of me to think that we could potentially go into the new season with Mo Salah not under contract and everything going on the way it kind of did last time, and it was just I don't like it. I think to be honest with you, I mean he'll be 33, I think it is in July or whatever it is. Listen, his legendary status at Liverpool and everything he did for us, so grateful for. Can never thank him enough. He's all over the walls in this room, by the way.
Mm,
And what he did for us. And he's an incredible talent and he's an unbelievable footballer and an ambassador. And in terms of even just human rights and everything
mm,
else, he's just an unbelievable human being. Um, but, you hear people talking about and stuff like that. Oh, it's a travesty if we let him go. So what are we going to do? Keep him until he's 40?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? You
Hold him
have to
there
come a
against his
time.
wishes, like.
Yeah, but not even against his wishes. Even if it is his wishes, there comes a time when your time comes. Jordan Henderson's time came. Fabinho's time came. Gerrard's time came. Kenny Dalglish's time came. Alan Hansen's time came. Stevie Gerrard's time came. Robbie
Yeah,
Fowler's time
exactly.
came. Every
Club
great
keeps
player's
moving on.
time comes. And what I don't want to see is, I don't want to see that, let's suppose you can see how toxic it is a little bit at the moment. So if we can just get through the next 3 games, lower down the toxicity and just kind of get it done. I just want the season done at this stage
Yeah,
and then decide where we want to go. But what I don't want is, I don't want Mo Salah hanging around long enough that he becomes the villain,
yeah,
that everything
exactly.
is
Yeah.
blamed on
Ruin his
him,
legacy.
that all this kind of thing. And I also don't want to see him hanging around where he's just kind of used as a squad bit part player as well and all that kind
Mm,
of stuff. I just don't want to see that now. If they have a plan, they have a plan. But I think at the moment, the soundings coming out at the moment in relation to wanting them to sign for an extra year or 2 years or whatever it is, I think a lot of that is to do with just protecting the valuation with the
mm,
Saudis. I think that's how I think about it. So, but yeah, really, listen, getting back to the match, really disappointing result. I just thought it's just more of the same, really. Um, For Klopp, I think you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. I don't think his in-game management was great, and I think given it's very frustrating when you're giving a guy like Mo Salah like 12 minutes and it popped off.
Yeah,
And you heard what he said after. He says, "If I speak, there will be fire." And Klopp before that turned around and says, "We spoke in the dressing room and it's all done." Now I'm not sure what he meant by that. Does he mean it's all done, as in done and dusted, or does he
yeah,
mean
no, it's
he's done? I wasn't too sure.
it's one of those. He's just kind of trying to deflect the questions from the media, saying, "Listen, we've sorted it out, even if they haven't. They're gonna put on a front for the media and say they have." And obviously, there would have been tensions going into the training ground this morning as well. After that,
Absolutely, and a lot of that's probably already there. It didn't
yeah,
need this
yeah,
to kick
it's
off. You know what
building
I
up for a
mean?
while. Like you
And
can see it.
you can tell by Mo Salah, you can tell by his facial expressions, you can tell by his body language, you can tell by even go look at his warm up for West Ham. When he went out to
Yeah,
warm up, he was patting West Ham players on the back and chatting with them and all this kind of stuff. He wasn't even
yeah,
warming up, like, you know what I mean? Last place he wanted to be, I'd say. So something happened, something was triggered. He wasn't happy the way he's being sat down and probably felt like he was probably being scapegoated a bit for what's gone on
yeah.
the last 6 weeks or whatever it is. It's been a total capitulation by the team, and that's just the way it is. So we will move on from it because it just breaks my heart to see
Uh,
all the values that we represent through the Klopp era kind of melting away in front of our faces and
yeah,
stuff like that. And I hope we get
melting
a
like an
better
ice
outing
cream.
this weekend against Spurs with a bit of luck. Maybe do people a bit of a favour, especially Del Boy in there. I'll take a few more comments. A good match this, Mark. 11-10 to Mark Allen versus John Higgins. I think he has it on there in front of
Yeah,
him.
it's just about to go 12-10. Higgins is clearing up here. And I did say before yesterday, whoever wins this one, I can see going through to the final at that end. And then I think it'd be obviously Joe Trump and Ronnie in the other semi final. So be very,
Mm,
very interesting. I did call Allen and O'Sullivan before the tournament. But
mm.
Higgins is he's shown his class, like he's unbelievable. We know Mark Allen isn't good with the rest. He missed an absolute sitter there with the rest, which let Higgins come back in and clear up. So it should be an interesting last few frames here.
Absolutely. Big up, Del Boy. Thanks for joining us tonight.
How you
And
tell?
congratulations on your win in the North London Derby.
Well done.
I'm sure it was squeaky bum time for the last few minutes, no doubt about it. But
100%.
uh, I think he's made it harder than what it should have been, to be honest. I thought Spurs in the first few minutes, I thought they were really good and they were creating stuff and all, but Arsenal just grew into it and the quality showed through. And when they started targeting Ben Davis down that right hand side, that was it. Saka had a field day, basically. But congrats, and let's see how it goes, Del. I've been in that position you've been in now with 3 games to go, and you're wishing them to stumble somewhere along the line. And more often than not, it doesn't happen. And you've seen it yesterday, the amount of chances Forest had, and I'm sure we'll get into it. But let's go on. Fulham 1, Crystal Palace 1.
Yeah, two teams in form coming in against each other. Fulham started brightly. Palace got back into it. They offered them a feast. Um, And what an absolute worldie of a goal by Schlupp to equalise late on in the game as well. Did you see it?
Yes, I did.
What an
Yeah.
absolute finish. I have to say, one thing though I've noticed over the last few games with Palace, everyone talks about Eze and Elise. Adam Wharton in midfield to me has been brilliant the last few games
Highlighted
for
him.
them.
Myself and Darren highlighted him at the Liverpool game. Him
Did you?
and
Yeah?
Hughes. Him
He
and Hughes.
He has been
Unreal.
unbelievable. I seen a good bit of him last season when he was playing for Blackburn. Obviously, he came through the academy, and his brother Scott is still with Blackburn. But like I said, everyone's talking about Elise and Eze and Elise, but he has just been unbelievable for them the last few games.
Yeah.
And he had another great game against Fulham, who are a difficult team to play against, especially in Craven Cottage. They've since the new stand has been built, it's become a little kind of fortress again for them. But yeah, I think on the whole, it was a fair result to draw.
Yeah, absolutely. But Crystal Palace looking really good under Glasner. Be interesting to see if they hang on to some of these players now. That's a big one. William, I totally agree there on you with Carragher. Like, look, it
Yeah,
is what it is. You know what I mean? It's just, listen, we're all hurting and we're all disappointed in the way it's panning out. Preston 0, Leicester 2. Cheese and Onion Vardy 2 goals.
they were
That's
partying again the other night. Did you see after the Leeds result? Holy,
have it. I have it ready to
Oh,
go.
11 all. Sorry, Dad. Yeah, what did I say? It was 12-10. Sorry, yeah, no, it
I
was
have
11
it.
all. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was at that stage. This is a later comment.
Um.
Um, yeah, Man United won, Burnley won.
Oh
Talk to
man,
me.
where do you
Talk
begin?
to me. I feel
In
your
fairness,
pain as much as mine.
yeah, no, and in fairness, first half I thought we started off brightly. We created some good chances, and we did in the first half. We did everything but score. Came out in the second half as more the same. Burnley did create a few chances, um, and then obviously we get the goal from Anthony, which you think with a few minutes to go would be, try see it out. But then again, Casemiro, don't know what the hell he was doing, and Onana comes out and clears the head off the Burnley player as he did in the very first game of the season against Wolves and got away with it. Um, so yeah, we were punished. For me, it's a penalty, and we were punished. And I said it to my dad last week. I said, the Sheffield United game on Wednesday and the Burnley game, that's 6 points out of six we need to try keep pressure on, and we haven't been able to do it. I think I've seen we lost 19 points from winning positions this season. That could have had us up around U's and stuff like that. It's not good enough for anyone's money. And listen, I've been listening to a lot of people talking about the manager and this, that, and the other. A lot of those players have to look at themselves in the mirror, like to take a phrase off Virgil van Dijk. Now, these are lads that are internationals and seasoned pros and well experienced, and they're an absolute joke. The young lads, like you hear about the young families. You've seen it yourself, because in Anfield, these young dads bringing their kids over to Old Trafford or Anfield, whatever it is, paying an absolute fortune for it, and to go over and see some of the performances this season has been disgraceful, and from so-called professional footballers on 250, 300,000 a week. It's an absolute sham, it is. And the likes of Rashford has to take a look at himself. And there's probably only a handful of players I'd keep and sell the rest, and obviously the likes of Martial going during the summer and the free and stuff like that. So a lot needs to be done during the summer. I know a lot of fans are with the kind of Ten Hag out but I genuinely think that Sir Jim is going to stick behind him, give him a kitty. Obviously, like I said, for financial fair play, we're going to have to sell players as well. But I do think they'll back him during the summer. I really do.
Mm. Do you know, for me, do you know what the issue is? I wonder, are you sticking with him because the manager's market is horrible at the moment? I think it's that one of the reasons. I think if you had better options out there, would you
Yeah.
would you take them? You know what I mean? The other thing I would say as well is his post match analysis is absolute garbage.
Oh,
Absolute
listen, I,
garbage.
I, I agree with you. I did see the comment. He says they're the most dynamic and entertaining team. I suppose I would agree from a neutral point of view. We tend to create a lot of chances, but we tend to concede a lot of goals as well. So from a neutral point of view, I suppose looking on, it is entertaining if you're neutral. But as a Manchester United fan, no way. And some of the spout he comes out with after the matches, I do think, are you actually on drugs, Eric Ten Hag? Because some of the stuff he comes out with, and and to be honest with you, I think he's trying to again deflect from the players, but he should be putting them under the bus and saying it as it is. These players are on a big whack. They're big boys. They should be able to take a bit of criticism. You always hear when they're giving out about the likes of Keane, Carragher, Neville on you see them on the overlap. They're saying, "Oh, such and such text me and said, oh, a club text me. They take it easy on him." And lads, they should be able to. They're in this game long enough. They should be able to take the criticism as much as they do the glory.
I think the issue you see at United is if you do throw them under the bus or you do go in hard, all of a sudden you're isolated and you're out of a job because there's a serious amount of player power there in that United team.
But
And
it's
that's
it's
obviously
been going on
something
for
that
too
has
long. It's been going on for too long. This is
has
where you need to cut it
yeah,
out. It's been
yeah.
gone. You had the likes of Pogba and Lingard and all there thinking they were ruling the dressing room. Mourinho left and Solskjaer came in. This, that, and the other. You had them all there. This needs to be just
Well, you
put
see, the
aside.
issue. Do you know what the
We've seen
issue
it with
is?
Chelsea over the years as
Yeah,
well. Jim. You know
yeah.
yourself, because
I suppose the difference with Chelsea is they tend to sack successful
yeah,
managers.
yeah, yeah,
That's the
yeah,
problem.
yeah.
You know what I
True.
mean? I think the problem for Ten Hag is if he's going into the office, he's not going into the office holding any aces. That's the problem as well because the results are deplorable. The play is horrible, and I kind of felt with that comment as well after that game as well when I kind of absorbed it. But you kind of in a roundabout way throwing a bit of shade at the players. when he said dynamic and entertaining.
Yeah, a little bit, I'd say. But like I said, from a neutral point of view, he's not wrong. Like you know yourself, and the lads that aren't United fans in the group chat, you always switch on the United game. You know that it doesn't matter if it's Sheffield United, if it's Burnley, if it's Man City, if it's Arsenal, if it's Liverpool. We're gonna concede goals. We're gonna put up a lot of like that Liverpool game in the FA Cup. You should have been 4-5-0 up at half time. You know, they're the chances. And Onana hasn't helped us. Listen, he's pulled off some world class saves this season, but he hasn't helped himself in other aspects of his game either. We haven't had a consistent back four all season due to injuries. Yes, I know everyone else is, but like that's tough when you don't have that. And we've been missing midfielders. We've been playing Casemiro centre half. We had an aging Johnny Evans. We got in on a free. There's been a lot. And it does all contribute, and not just spouting out
Yeah,
excuses. It does all
yeah.
contribute, you know.
Mm.
But hopefully we'll just come to the end of the season now. We'll probably qualify for the Europa League or Europa Conference at this stage, depending how Chelsea's results go. But just get to the end of the season, like I say, clear out a lot of the dead wood and the players with big attitudes and wages, and hopefully we can build on from then in the summer.
Which is easier said than done as well, because
I
you
know
did
it
try it
is,
last
but
summer.
listen,
It's
you
tough,
have to
like,
start somewhere, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Keith's in. These players are checked out for the season. It's very easy to see, to be honest. I think it's a good time for Salah to go. Let's cash in on him and try and get like 100, 120 million from him. Go again for next season. Yeah, I think one of the narratives coming out as well is that if we do cash in on Mo Salah, it's like as if there's going to be a void there, that we're going to go out and bring in a player that doesn't score any goals or assists. And people forget that as well. People talk about, like, well, if you had it went last summer, where would we be? Well, we don't know, because we don't know who we would have brought in. Where were we when we brought in Allison and Virgil van Dijk when we lost Coutinho? You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's a weird one. Barca 2, Valencia 2 from Mazers. Onana was an Inter Milan game yesterday, begging Inter to take him back.
they can have him, Acers. They can
Yeah.
have him.
Thomas Tuchel going to have no squad with Ineos, selling whole squad immediately. What do you make of the links with Thomas Tuchel? How would you feel about that?
Nah, I'm not a big fan of him. You know, he does rub players and coaching
The
staff and
board. The board.
yeah, the ball. I was just gonna say, and behind the scenes, he rubs them up the wrong way. So I think it'd be a recipe for disaster. If I'm being honest.
Take him for 2 years, win a few trophies, and put up with the toxicity. It's there
Are
anyway,
you seeing
you
us?
know?
We won't win anything, man. Even with him,
Absolutely. Newcastle 5, Sheffield United 1.
it was some game. Sheffield United obviously taking the lead, and not only that, creating a few other chances. They could have been 2 or 3 nil up. Diaz again had a great chance, as he had it in the last few weeks. And then they I can't remember. It was a yeah, they were right. I think it was Archer. Had a great chance from about 8 yards out, and I literally thought when he hit it, it was going into the back of the net, but it went the wrong side of the post. And
Right.
I think that opportunity itself, I think, kind of woke Newcastle up, and they got into their stride. Anthony Gordon and Bruno and all were on fire. Um, and yeah, just once they scored one, you knew the rest was going to follow. And obviously, it was good to see Callum Wilson back involved and back scoring. It was a great finish by himself as well. So, um, and I don't know if any of the lads in the Anthony Gordon interview on the overlap, I thought it was very good. He came across very well, and he's had a really good season. Obviously, he was injured for parts of it, but his goals and assists tally this season is been unreal. And I think a lot of it is going to answer the questions of his price tag and the move from Everton to Newcastle. So I was delighted for him, and yeah, great win for Newcastle, and it keeps him thereabouts.
Yeah, he was one of those transfers where in the beginning, when you heard the value and stuff like that, you went, "Holy God!"
Yeah, where did
But
it come
then
from? Like,
but
yeah,
then when you see how he's cemented in there and under Eddie Howe and stuff like that, it could potentially be looking value for money now.
yeah.
So, Wolves 2, Luton 1. Rob Edwards just not having enough in the tank with the late show.
Yeah, obviously, I think it was Morris had a few opportunities as
Yeah.
well. Even at
Mm.
nil all to go 1-0 up. And listen, we know how difficult Wolves are to play against. But Chan again was in a great position to score. Great, yeah, too right. Going down Talca Park, tough for her. But yeah, listen, great win by Wolves. It's again Gary O'Neill has them taken over, and they have getting a few players back at the right time, coming towards a run in the last few games of the season. But from a Luton point of view, very disappointed that they didn't take their chances, and it could have been a vital 3 points for them if they had taken those chances.
Gary O'Neill rocking up to Molyneux with the chest out after having his interview at Liverpool.
Liverpool,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm the next big thing, baby. I'm the next big
See, they
thing.
didn't tell him they were interviewing for the under-21s. That's what it was. I know, but all credit
He's
to
been there,
Gary.
wrote the book, hasn't he?
That's it. But like we all know that he left Bournemouth under kind of a cloud. No one knew why. You know, obviously something happened behind the scenes which we haven't
Yeah.
heard about. But and
Mm,
particularly we talk about Bournemouth and the performances this season. He's set that template, that print out for them, you know, and
mm.
fair play to him. He's definitely him and Emery have to be up there for manager of the season, and Ariola obviously.
Do you know I'm throwing Dyche in there as well now?
Well, yeah, definitely. I didn't
And
think you
it's
would. You and
the
Dino were
trees,
never his biggest fan, were you?
are growing on, trees are growing on.
Yeah.
But I can't. Everton won, Brentford nil.
They're like a twister. They just keep going and going around and around. It was, listen, a great result for them. I didn't think it would go for them at one stage. Brentford created some good chances. Tony came in, Pickford again. He pulled off some saves, and remember that save from Tony, and then he got up for the rebound and stuff. And Guy, what a few weeks he's having. You know, he's been brilliant for them. But it just shows everyone, especially with the deductions, we all had them dead and buried. You know, that sort of way. It's kind of like Burnley, but I had them dead and buried at Christmas, but they started to pick up a few results. But Everton, with all the, the deductions, and they got hit once and then they got hit again, and you're thinking, what more can go wrong for them? Like, and they
Yeah.
keep bouncing back, and in the face of adversity, they come back and get another good win here and a clean sheet at home as well. So, fantastic win for them. Big 3 points, which keeps them safe.
I loved that. I loved Dyche's his interview after the game. They said to him, whoever the girl was who was interviewing him, she said, "So, how's that feel? Like the relief of that now and all that kind of stuff?" And he goes, "Sure, I'm used to
Yeah,
it."
yeah, exactly.
It was
Been
pretty
there, done
cool, you
that.
know.
Wore the
Yeah,
t-shirt.
absolutely. Yeah, looking forward to the Champions League, Acers.
It's mad to see him in
Uh,
a tracksuit now, isn't it, Deutsch?
yeah, and you know something? It's cool. It's
Yeah, it
cool as
suits
well,
him,
like
doesn't
you
it?
know. What he should do next week now is go back into the suit, do full suit.
What about a suit, like suit trousers with now tracksuit top and a shirt underneath?
Can you imagine, or the other way around, slacks with a tracky top.
What would you be?
Uh,
Cause would you be tracksuit or a suit?
um, I do like a good suit.
Yeah,
I have to say, I do like a
good
good
man.
suit. I don't mind wearing tracksuits when you're coaching and you're training and all that.
Yeah.
But when you're rocking
See,
up on match day, I like to look the part.
I don't know, like lads, you in the chat tell me what manager would you be, a tracksuit or a suit? But because I wear suits all week, I like being in my tracksuits and stuff like that, So I think I might be a
Yeah, but
tracksuit
if it
manager.
was the reverse, if you were coaching a team and you were in trackies all week, would you like at the weekend then to throw on the
Yeah,
suit? You
yeah,
know what I
well,
mean? So,
yeah.
yeah.
There's
I don't
something
know.
to be said about that. All
Do you
right.
know what I don't like? I don't like when they come out for cup finals and they're in tracksuits.
No, do you remember?
I,
Do you remember the City Stoke one a few years ago, and Tony Pulis came out in the suit, and
yeah,
as they're all lining up, shaking the hand of whoever, Prince William, I think it was, he ran back into the change room, got changed into his tracksuit, and he had his hat on
yeah,
and all. Good
yeah.
old Tony Pulis.
William suit all the way.
Go on, the
Absolutely suit
William.
all the way. Acers only wearing suits in important big games. Yeah,
Yeah,
the only thing I'd say about that though is if you're Everton or one of the lower teams in the division, every game is a big game, isn't it?
yeah, it
So
is.
how do you decipher around it? But I know
Sure,
what you're saying, Acers, but I don't like it. I don't like to see them walking out at Wembley or the way they used to walk out down in Cardiff and stuff like that. And they were in a tracksuit. I think when you're in a cup final or
yeah,
you're in, or
yeah.
something like that, I
Suiting about
think
it.
you should look the part, yeah. Now, I wouldn't necessarily be going for a cream suit.
No,
Yeah,
definitely not. Not
definitely
after a
not.
few Guinness, anyway.
David and Arteta has it done right. Slacks and nice dressy jumper.
Yeah,
Give over.
definitely does.
Give
100%.
over. Yeah. No, give over. A nice jumper and a pair of slacks. Good lord. I tell you one thing, if he keeps on bending down in those slacks in that technical area,
I tell you,
he's gonna lose the ass back of them very quick.
big time.
They're as tight. Be like a light bulb. Aston Villa 2, Chelsea 2. What
Oh
did you
yeah,
make
oh
of
yeah.
the talk to me about the disallowed the sassy goal? Just talk to me about it.
It's the one to push in the back, was it?
The body check that was like barely any contact even.
But like, if you look at it when the ball's in the air, he takes a glance at the ball, but he's looking at the player and he goes right through the back of him. To me, I felt he knew what he was doing, that sort of way. But I will
Yeah.
say, obviously, Villa had taken the lead, but I felt it was against a run of play. I thought Chelsea started off very, very well, created.
I tell it looks like he's shot the card. He does, William. Like he's in a hunting jacket. You know, one of those
Oh
hunting jackets
lad,
with all the pockets. Like he's out
oh
here,
lad.
how he's out coursing with a few dogs or something. That's what he looks like.
No, but
Absolutely.
like I said, I think Villa scored against the run of play. But listen, if you look at overall the season, they've been playing so well. They deserve every goal they score and every chance they get. But for the second equaliser, what an absolute worldie by Conor Gallagher and on his left foot. You're thinking someone's going to go out and close him down, and no one comes out, and he's all this space, and it's like bang. I think half of them are expecting a little chip cross or to be laid inside to whoever, but it was a fantastic finish, and yeah, it could have been all 3 points at the end, but I personally I felt that it was a foul on the Aston Villa defender.
Did you really?
Yeah, yeah, genuinely when I seen it, I felt,
But
and
that has to be a
I
certain amount of contact. I think he made a meal of it. I don't think the contact was that much.
I just
You
felt,
know.
do you know
Now I
what?
know they've been given all season, so
Yeah, no,
it's in
and
line.
what it was, I was just watching the eyes of the Chelsea player. He took a little glance at the ball, but he was focused on the Villa player, and he knew exactly what he was doing going through the back of him like that. That's a boy. So,
Mm.
and there was enough contact for me to give a free out.
Go for on Friday looked like an extra from an Oasis fan group.
Did you see what he
He's all,
done, cuz, on Friday night?
no, I didn't see it. No.
After the game, they all go into the centre circle for a huddle and a chat. And he went over and he grabbed a fan from the crowd to go in and give the post match little chat in the huddle. So he got the fan. I was very good, I have to say. And they
Yeah.
interviewed him after, and he says, "Well, what did the fan say?" He goes, "To be honest with you, it was so much effing and blind. He didn't make any sense at all." But he said, "Neither did me player, so it's all good." He's
Yeah, he had
go
a.
for it. It's
Did
but
I watch one of
gas.
the interviews as well where he had to go off a player as well, threw a player under the bus
Yeah,
or something
Shane,
like that?
Shane Farrell came on.
Mm.
I got 2 yellow cards against Rovers on Monday night.
Yeah.
Stupid yellow cards
Mm.
in a vital time of the game, and he wasn't happy with him at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it was interesting. I just got the tail end of it, but I didn't get the detail on it. But
Yeah,
it
no,
was
it was
interesting,
two silly yellow cards. He
Yeah.
he he went in on he went in on the Rovers left full on the sideline, and then a few minutes later it was a needless challenge in the middle of midfield,
Yeah.
and he got sent off. And listen, they got away with it, but it was in a really, I think there was about 15 minutes left or whatever it was, and he wasn't too happy after. And I think they interviewed someone else after, and he was like, "That's what Duffer is about. Like he'll tell you home truths, and if you're shit, he'll tell you you're shit." He actually said that in
Mm.
the interview, one of the interviews I seen, but um.
Mm.
Yeah, no, I'll say it again. I'll say it over and over again. I know what certain people think of League of Ireland, but if you get a chance, go to the likes of Talk and stuff on a Friday night. The atmosphere is electric.
Yeah. Mm. Or come to Bray and see Brentford play.
Brentford, are you going to it?
I'll probably go to. Yeah, I think I'll get a ticket for it. Yeah, I have to
Daily,
really. Yeah,
daily. That
absolutely.
should be good. It'd be a bit of
Yeah,
a night out, bit of experience. Like,
yeah,
and you might see
absolutely.
Romeo Beckham.
There you go. Bournemouth 3, Brighton nil. I don't even want to talk about how good Bournemouth were. We need to have a conversation about this fraud to Zerbi. It's
I listen,
absolutely shocking.
cause I
Down to
said it here.
12th now. 12th.
I said it. I know. I said it here 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. Brighton look like a team that are already on the beach. They know they're safe, and they know they've nothing really they can get in terms of Europe after qualifying last year. So they're in a no man's land. So it looks like a lot of them have. We talked about Salah checking out. A lot of them have checked out. Like, listen, I know they've had injuries to Matoma, and Evan Ferguson's been in and out of the team with injuries and stuff like that. They have been shocking, man. Shocking the last few weeks. I don't know what's going on with them. From a
Do
Bournemouth point of
you
view,
want me
they
to
have.
tell you what? Hang on. Do you want me to tell you what's going on with Brighton? I'll tell
What's
you
that?
now exactly. First of all, one goal scored in April, which was the Burnley keeper's mess up.
Yeah, did you see? Because
Right?
someone put up,
Yeah.
it's going to be some goal of the month competition for them,
Yeah.
yeah?
Now, 18 times this season he's changed keepers.
It's madness, isn't
This
it? Like, when you
guy
think
is
of it.
rolling up in the van, opening up the shop, and he does this all the time. Look at who he played at the weekend there, and look how many first team regulars were sitting on the bench.
Yeah. But like I
So
said,
what
it's
he's
like they've
doing is,
checked out.
he's using these youth players and he's putting them out there into the shop window, hoping
Yeah,
they're going to go out and perform so he can money ball them up.
yeah.
And they're doing the same thing all the time. They are an absolute disgrace. He
I,
is an absolute fraud.
I will say one thing though. It was good to see David's cousin Mark O'Mahony starting up front. It's
Mm.
good to see the Irishman starting up front as well. He's getting a chance to get in there. And but yeah, no, like I said, they're in no man's land. To me, they checked out about 3 weeks ago because when they knew they were obviously they couldn't get relegated and they couldn't qualify for Europe. But from a Bournemouth point of view, what a win! Like they could have and should have had 2 penalties as well. To be honest, it could have been a hell of a lot more. Um, to me, Bournemouth, you look at them going into next season. If they have a good summer and try to hang on to some of the players they have, they're gonna be up there fighting for Europe next season. I've no doubt about it.
You think so, yeah?
Yeah,
Bournemouth.
Europa Conference are the 100%. I think with the right signings and like I said, hanging on. Obviously, there's going to be teams sniffing around Solanke and stuff like that. And but if they can hold on to the likes of Billings and Solanke and Clivert and a few of the others and add to that, I think they'll be thereabouts next season to be in that position to qualify for Europe.
I think they're going to find it difficult to hold on to some of the players, and I think you're going to get a bounce back from the likes of Chelsea and yourselves and stuff like that. It's going to be very difficult to get in around that top seven, I think. But I do. I like the way they play, and I like the way he
100%.
coaches them.
You
You know,
just again we've seen it this season, last season. Anything can happen. You look at Chelsea, how bad they started, and they've come to the end now, and they're trying to get a little
mm.
steady, and they're there. I think they're if they win their game in hand, they're going to be level on points with us or something like that. If you had told me that a few months ago, I would have laughed in your face. So anything can happen in this league, and yeah, I just feel with the right signings,
you would have thought they'd be way ahead of you. Like,
well, you wouldn't surprise me the way we are, to be honest with you. But no, I do. I think Bournemouth with the right signings, and they're going to make things. I think they'll make things very difficult for Arsenal on Saturday morning.
yeah, absolutely. Big up Henry.
How are you,
Yeah,
Henry?
yeah,
Long time no see.
yeah. No, he's in the chat. He's in the chat. Um, North London Derby, Spurs 2, Arsenal 3.
What a game! What a game!
Mm.
I was over in Dundrum yesterday, and myself, my dad, my ma, and Georgia were sitting in the pie opposite Dundrum Shopping Centre. While Yvonne was walking around trying to get Holly off to sleep, we were sitting there watching it. It was such a great start to the game. Spurs created some really, really good chances. And then obviously, um, Arsenal get what was it, a freak Hoiberg, off his head in. And then I think after that, then Romero hit the post from a corner. He was kind of going back and,
He
and
did.
headed it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
back
so,
post.
but then obviously, I thought, listen, could Spurs have had a penalty? Yeah, possibly, definitely. Not the Madison one, the one before that. When he clips his ankles,
Kulicheski.
and yeah, Kulusevski
Yeah.
gets his ankles clipped. I can't remember who clipped him, but and from that, Arsenal go down the other end. Saka cuts inside and finishes into the corner. It was a great finish. And then all of a sudden, you're looking at it going 2-0. All right, Spurs could have made it 1-1 there if they had got the penalty, and then Arsenal go and score a third, and you think that's game over. But fair play to Spurs, they get plugging away, and they obviously listen. They picked up on a mistake by Raya there, and I don't know what he was doing. It wasn't a chip or a crossfield pass by any
What
stretch
was
of the
Romero
imagination.
doing there? What was the centre back doing there in the first place?
Oh
Romero.
no,
And
like
a lovely finish. A
it
lovely
was like
finish.
see, like I was looking at it going, is he going to hit it or is he going to lay it off? Because I think Song was to the left of him, was he? If I'm not wrong.
To the
Was
right.
come to coming up to the
To the
right.
right.
So I was like, is he gonna
Yeah.
pass it? But he finished it, and then
Mm,
obviously they got a penalty in the end. And
mm,
Song, what a listen. That's one of those
mm.
penalties. There's even he went the right way. You're not saving that, And
No.
and it was a nervous last few minutes for Arsenal, but it was a great win in the end.
Yeah, huge 3 points for Arsenal. And what it does, it keeps the title race keeps on going. And that's really what we want. We love that last day drama. And then we rounded out with a very unusual kind of game. Nottingham Forest, Man City. Man City winning 2-0, but making kind of hard work of it.
Big
Forest
time,
had a bunch of chances, but
like
Forest to me looked like an underage side in front of goal yesterday.
yeah.
They
I
were
think
so poor.
Chris Woods either. his legs were like wibbly wobbly wonders, or he has money on Man City to win the league. That's how it felt yesterday. Because those two chances you look at that he had, what on earth? Now listen, the first one you could say, he didn't adjust his feet in time when but man, you're a striker that's been in the Premier League for how long now? You're 7 years out. Like, come on, man, hold and like. Again, I spoke about this before. Forest defending, particularly from set pieces, has been appalling all season. I remember going back to, I don't know if you remember in February there, the Newcastle game they played at home. It was a 5:30 kickoff, and Newcastle got straight through them and picking them off from set pieces. And it was the same again yesterday. And it was a brilliant ball over by De Bruyne, a great header. I think 1-0. But like Forest, they were asking a lot of questions, the City. And just as you think, right, they could be onto something here. Haaland comes on with a few minutes to go and gets his
Walks
goal.
right through them. Walks
Yeah,
right
literally.
through them
Well,
and
and that's what's
scores.
been happening all season. Everyone has been doing it, whether it's been people passing through midfield or running through midfield with the ball and going
Mm.
through their defence. But Haaland, obviously, it was is an easy one for him. He hadn't scored in the last few games, so it was a nice, easy way to come back in. And it's one of those wins at this stage of the season that City are so used to doing, just seeing it over the line and clean sheet, and it's another 3 points in the board, and they still have that game in hand. And yeah, the momentum is with them.
Would you be worried about Forest?
Slightly, yeah. If you had asked me, a month or two ago, I would say yeah, they'd be safe. But you're looking at it now, definitely. It looks like they're getting a bit nervy. It looks like I said, you'd be expecting someone like Chris Wood, an experienced striker, to be putting those chances away. Going to be a lot of pressure coming into the last few games for all of them.
Have you got a preference between the three who survives, Burnley, Luton, and Forest?
I think I would have a month and a half ago. I would have said Luton would survive, but I just think over the last few weeks the results haven't been going their way. I like the style of football and the way they play. I'd like to see them stay up, but realistically, I can't see them staying up.
Forest versus Burnley on the final day.
Yeah, and listen, Burnley could be already gone at that stage, and Forest be at home, so it'd be up to them to go out and get
Hopefully,
the three
neither
points.
of them are. Hopefully,
Yeah,
neither of
yeah,
them are.
yeah.
So I love those last days. It's heartbreaking, but it's also exhilarating.
I I was watching a thing on Sky Sports earlier. Do you remember Jimmy Glass, the Carlisle
Yes,
goalkeeper, who
yeah,
came up and scored he was only on loan. They only got him in for a few games, and he comes up and scores the goal in the last minute, last kick of the game.
yeah. I
The
worked for
Carlisle and Ollie.
I worked with a guy called Stephen Murphy, and his brother Peter played for Carlisle
No way.
back in 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003. I
There.
think it was. Yeah, he did well for himself over
Wasn't it?
there.
Was it
Right.
Roddy Collins was over in Carlisle for a while, wasn't he?
I think he was there at the
Carlisle, yeah.
same time. Yeah, Roddy was there. I think for what was it, a
Rod's class.
season or something like that. Yeah, yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
cool. Make sense of this for me.
Oh, I can't. I literally can't. I thought we should have had a penalty, to be honest with you. And we obviously see in the Coventry Wan-Bissaka, if you're realistically, if you're given one, you should give the other. But I always say, you hear always people say, "Oh, well, it should consistency, this, that, and the other." You're not going to get consistency because it's an individual interpreting the law in his own. You'll always hear it in the opinion of the referee. Even after a match, an assessor will sit down with the referee and say, "Why did you give this and you didn't give that?" And they say, "Well, in my opinion." And that validates it then because it's how they interpret the law, because there's certain laws that aren't kind of black and white like offsides, and if the ball's over the line, so all the rest of it is the way it's, like I say, interpreted by the individual who's in charge on the day. And unfortunately we didn't get the rub of the green on Saturday afternoon. And listen, a week before there's one exactly like that against us, so why shouldn't it be given to us? But unfortunately, it's different people in charge of the game and different people in charge of VAR on the day, and yeah, you're not going to
Yeah,
get that
but I
consistency
mean,
because of that either.
surely at the end of a weekend's play, surely all those representatives get together in a Zoom group or whatever it is, and they go through all the potential stuff that's happened at the weekend, like what we go through on the show, and they sit down and they look at that. But in that moment, those officials in the far booth that are looking at that surely know that the previous week, literally the exact same thing was given, literally nearly right. And if they want to show consistency, whether we believe either was a penalty or either wasn't a penalty,
Mm.
if you gave it last week and those guys in the VAR booth, they're aware of this decision because I'm sure Webb goes through it with them all and they all sit down and they go, look at this, look at this, look at this. We know there's reports after games and all that kind of stuff. Surely if you're sitting in the VAR booth, you're aware of the United Coventry one and you're going, this is the exact same. And instruct the referee in that case to go, listen, this was given last week practically identical.
Yeah.
And instruct the referee, go look at the monitor, remember what happened last week, and if we want consistency, there's your consistency. Why doesn't VAR take a sort of a role like that and say, look, I know you have to assess everything on its own merits and stuff like that, but when it's that practically
So,
identical, you know what I
yeah,
mean?
no, but you've kind of answered it there yourself. You go into a match with a blank canvas. You can't think of decisions that were given in the past, unfortunately. And listen, as much as it's against my team, it's obviously the referee didn't give it on the day, and he's had a chat with the VAR team who have agreed. They didn't even ask him to go over to the monitor and say, "Listen, I think you're wrong. I think you should." His arm is out in an unnatural position. The proximity isn't too close. It's very, very similar, as you can see even there in the still to the commentary one against us.
Yeah.
It's just
I think
it's
it was
I
the
know
pace. It was the pace of where he hit it as well. He hit it with fierce pace. So when
they
you look
they
at
do
that
that.
picture there in terms of proximity, but he walloped it at him. It came off him
No, it
something
is.
weird.
Listen, and the 4-0 up.
Fine.
They take all this into consideration. But like I
Yeah.
said, I've had a lot of people texting me over the last few days and people commenting on this, that, and the other, saying about consistency and you know why referees need to be doing this, that, and the other. It's whatever that referee thinks on the day. That's his opinion of the law, and that's the only thing. And the only other thing is as well is that if you want, there has. I've said this to them blue in the face, because if you want better refereeing and better decisions, the FA have to invest in the training of referees and in the training of VAR as well. Like I said, we've had this discussion. It's from 2012 to now, which is 12 years
Mm.
that we knew it was going to be coming
Yeah,
in.
I just
They
think
haven't
it's
done enough.
it's very difficult to arrive at a benchmark of consistency if everything is individually refed in isolation, if you know what I mean.
Mm.
So, like, how do you arrive at that consistency then? If you look at this example, on its own,
I know,
basically
yeah,
these
yeah,
two,
and
like,
it's you
surely,
can't, and
and
it's
that's why I'd like VAR to be maybe a bit more proactive and VAR to look at it and go, you know, we gave this last week.
yeah.
We
I
gave
I
it
was
last week. And when
I
I'm
was
talking
only
about
saying
VAR,
it.
I'm not talking about
Yeah,
Joe Blogs who's there this week or Jimmy, whoever, you know what I mean? I'm talking about VAR in totality, all the VAR officials. A VAR official seemed fit to give this last week, and this week they're not giving it. How do you arrive at consistency?
yeah. No, and you're right. And it'd be a very interesting episode of Mic'd Up now if you have that that still, or obviously they'd run the VT
Mm,
of the actual two incidences and see what has been said. Because I'd be very interested in the conversation. Listen, for me, like I said, the Wan-Bissaka one is a penalty. The day before, the Jack Grealish one is a penalty. That one on Saturday is a penalty. To me, three of them are penalties. Okay, so I've no arguments about the Wan-Bissaka. It shouldn't have been. It definitely was a penalty. I'd love to hear the conversation that was had between the referee and the VAR team in those three incidents and see where the conclusion or where the differences they think is
mm.
between the three of them. Because in my eyes, there's no difference.
Well, they're all the thing about it is what we wanted to remove from the game is this kind of opinion. So
Mm.
that's why VAR was brought in to kind of clarify all that and stuff, and so you don't get so much opinion and stuff like that. And all these guys are getting trained up on the same rules, the same technology, the same stuff. So the question
But
is probably for Howard Webb, why is this guy saying yeah and this guy says no?
I know, and,
You
and
know?
and again, like I said, it goes back to how someone interprets the law. Like I always say to you, if I'm out in Abbottstown and I'm at a referees meeting in the FEI and there's a room of 100 people and they put up a still, say something similar to that, and they say, right, hands up if you think it's such and such, and you get a lot of the room, and then he hands up if it's such and so. So you could have a split in the room, and that's just 100 referees on one decision, that sort of way. So you're not going to get the conclusion. And that's where I understand the frustration of a football fan and consistency. But like I said, you're going to get human error, and you're going to get people. And I always say it's in the opinion of the referee. Those famous 5 words I do always say about, and you're not going to get any different.
But VAR should be there to fix that opinion.
But that the thing about it is, VAR has been run by someone
Yeah.
that whatever way they interpret the law. So they're in charge of the machinery and all, but they're still using this to interpret the law, and it's in their opinion. So again, if the person in charge of VAR agrees with the referee and says, right, now you're right, definitely, like he's in the same opinion, so he doesn't get him to call over to the screen, where you could have someone a week later that doesn't agree and says, right, but that's different opinions. Again, it's like everything in life. Everyone has different opinions. Could be an argument on this. Everyone's going to have different opinions, and unfortunately, that's what it comes down for.
But
Get down to,
look at how easy me and you come to the conclusion.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And we have nothing available to us.
Yeah,
We're
no,
just
no,
looking at that the
100%.
same as VAR, and we're going.
But it's funny, like, because I'm telling you, if we were in a referees meeting in Abbottstown, and you put, like, there'd be 100 of us, 97 could say, it's Stonewall penalty, and 3 would say, no, I don't think so. And they'll fight the argument of why they don't think it is. And you're sitting there going, are they
And then
for
those
real?
3 should be just sacked.
That's it. But at the end of the day, it's their interpretation of the law, and there's nothing you can do about it. If they think they're right in their head, that they think they're right. And unfortunately, people like that are in charge of games,
Yeah, it's just so frustrating. Big up, Milik. Thanks for joining us tonight.
How's it
PSG.
going, man?
PSG. Right. Let's give our props out here and our commiserations. Obviously, Sheffield United going down.
Yes.
I don't think there was any doubt this was going to happen, and where they kind of in recent weeks huffed and puffed and tried to blow the house down, but they didn't really. A massive amount of goals conceded. Massive.
Too many.
And you can't deal with that. So, back
Yeah,
to the championship you go.
Yeah, they have a championship squad, and the more some of the more experienced players they had, including a few of our Irish lads, were injured for important times of the season, big games
Mm.
against the likes of Burnley and Luton and Everton and teams around them, where you think they'd be picking up points. Obviously, Diaz and McBurney were missing a lot of chances over the last few weeks, and in times, like I said, which would kill off games. And like that game against Newcastle on Saturday was won, and the week before that, on Wednesday against us, and then the previous Saturday against, I think it was a Chelsea they were playing the previous week. Like, they're
Yeah.
creating a lot of chances, they just couldn't put them away, and unfortunately they were leaking goals at the back as well, and it's just a recipe for disaster, really.
Yeah, when your expected goals at the back is like a 4-to-1 ratio with your expected goals up front, it's not a great recipe.
No.
Not a great recipe. On the flip side, Leicester promoted. Hats off to them. The Foxes are back on the Premier League.
They had a few champagne magnums there on one of the lads' houses. It wasn't Jamie Vardy's house anyway. It was one of the lads' houses on Friday night or whatever it was. But yeah, Leeds had a bit of a drop off, and Ipswich could actually catch them now. They could go over them into the automatic playoff position or promotion position. So, and Leeds could drop to a playoff now. So it's going to be an interesting weekend next weekend. Unfortunately, for my Blackpool, we couldn't get over the line on Saturday and beat Reading and get a playoff spot. So League One again for us. But yeah, fair play to Leicester. Fair play to a lot of the players that stayed there. It would have been a lot easier for them to move away during the summer, but they wanted to stay and fight and get Leicester back in the Premier League, and that's what they've done on the first chance of calling. So fair play to them, and obviously they're going to need an investment, because there is parts of the squad there that you could say are still championship, so they don't want to fall into the Sheffield United kind of thing of not investing in Premier League players.
Yeah, I think the one thing about them getting promoted back into the Premier League, while they were down there, they were able to keep a core group of players there.
100%.
So the likes of Vardy and Drewsbury Hall and all players like that and stuff. So that really helped a lot. Now that they're promoted up, they'll be more inclined to keep them as well, because there was talk of Dewsbury Hall moving on and stuff. He may be less inclined to move on now with getting promoted, maybe. So that's a big one for them and stuff, But nice to see Leicester back and stuff like that.
Definitely, absolutely.
And it's going to be very interesting now how it pans out now with Leeds and Ipswich.
Like,
your boy at Ipswich there,
Kieran McKenna,
doing a
yeah,
fantastic job,
unbelievable, man.
which looks like not an outstanding group of players, but certainly
No,
a players that are
he,
playing for each other and a
I was just
team
gonna
there that
say
is
that. Yeah,
galvanized.
they've
Yeah.
a real fight and team spirit
Mm.
amongst them, and obviously Ed Sheeran's been in the change room a lot this season with them and at a lot of the games and stuff like that. And you see from some of the videos that they are Kieran's come in and he's gotten them together. They suffered with confidence before he came in there. He's built up their confidence and their team spirit, and they're on their day they were unbeatable in the championship. They really are. They're so hard to play against, and I do fancy them to finish second.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. It'd be heartbreaking for Leeds because I think if Leeds drop into the playoffs, um, I wouldn't be overly confident. That QPR game was shocking.
Yeah, well,
Really,
and
really
in
shocking.
fairness,
So,
like I'm just looking here, Leeds are playing Southampton, and Southampton are in fourth spot. Like it's going to be tough, and
and Ipswich have a game in hand as well.
yeah, Ipswich have the game in hand, and the last game then is against Huddersfield, who are well, they're fighting. They're about 3 points off relegation, so they will be fighting. But you'd expect them to win at home against Huddersfield, you know.
Yeah, down there, just
Mm,
slightly below QPR, as they say. So
QPR,
we
yeah,
put in a
Jesus.
shift against them. Yeah,
Ipswich travel to Coventry tomorrow away, so that's their game in hand tomorrow.
yeah,
So
yeah. Which won't be easy either.
it
Won't be
won't be
easy either.
Coventry or obviously listen, they're thereabouts this season. Obviously they can't they can't really get a playoff spot, but after the good cup run and stuff, they'll take a bit of a momentum into that. And I think it's their last home game if I'm not mistaken. So it'd be a
Yeah.
good send off for the fans as well.
Absolutely. Big up, Coyle. Thanks for joining us tonight. Big up, gents. Are we
There
going to
we
get a bit
go.
of luck, gents? Coyle, I certainly hope so. I certainly hope so. That's for sure because I don't want this league turning into the French league or the Farmers League or whatever it is. You know what I mean? And just the way City are just strolling year after year after year, it's a real concern at the moment. You know,
Big
so
time.
certainly I hope you do get a bit of luck. What I would say to you is, you know, it's the hope sometimes that kills you.
Yeah.
I sat in this room watching Vince and company score a 30-yard screamer against Casper Schmeichel to break my heart. So I know how this
Real
plays out,
Casper.
but hopefully not. You know, it's about time that change happened. And look, Arsenal, you've definitely learned from last season. There is no drop off. The boys are playing their heart out. You know, that was a bit uncomfortable yesterday, but still, it was a very good the way they targeted Davis and stuff like that and all. And to see Havertz and that putting in a real shift and stuff like that is what you want to see, isn't it? So hopefully, Volcano Walsh, no chance for Arteta winning fucking nothing. There you go. There's your
Not
answer
like
there, Cool.
not like Aces to bring it back down to earth, is it?
Mister Positivity there, the power of positivity. Evening lads, what's the crack? Big up Baz. Hope you're
Evening,
well, my
Baz.
friend.
How are you getting on,
He's in
buddy?
me today. Ipswich unlucky the other night. They were unlucky the other night.
Yeah, Hull, I
Um,
think, scored. Was it the 87th minute Hull scored?
yeah, it was 3-3 or something, wasn't it? I checked
Was
out
it?
at
Yeah,
3-2. I
3
thought
all
Ipswich
finished.
had it, but it was 3-3 in the end. Yeah.
Yeah, Hull scored. I
Um,
think it was around the 87th minute or something like that.
yeah, absolutely. Now, talk to me about these rules you sent me last week. How do you feel about them?
Yeah, look, listen, I think looking at them, MLS are always a league that the or not association, like the football community will put these laws in, and they were one of the first to test out VAR and stuff like that. So it is a good league for doing it. But I think they'll improve the game. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
there's not like a player feigning an injury, and he's down for longer than 15 seconds. He must leave the field for 2 minutes. Now, at the minute, if someone's down injured and they get treatment, they have to obviously leave the field to play and wait for the referee to wave them back on when the time is right to do so. So I think that is a good idea in theory. Obviously, listen, people are going to say if someone gets injured, your player's injured or whatever, and he's gone off for 2 minutes, it gives the other team an advantage. But they're really trying to cop like really like it's basically teams that are feigning injury. If you're winning 1-0 coming into the last few minutes and people are going down with cramp, well, pretend to go down with cramp, or they get a little nick and they stay down and stuff like that. That's what they're trying to really kind of kick out. Um,
Now, based on the group of people we have officiating in the Premier League at the moment, How do you know whether someone has real cramp or they're faking cramp? Because these guys can't sort out a
I
free
know,
kick
yeah,
at this stage.
yeah, no, but
And my biggest concern with this, I love the in stadium VAR announcements.
yeah, yeah.
I like that side of it. I think that's really cool. The rest of it, I'd be worried about because you know, are we in danger of being over officiated?
Well, I think the next one down is pretty good because obviously if someone has taken ages, as we know, to leave the field of play, the new sub coming on will have to wait 60 seconds before entering the field of play, which I think is a good one. Now they should be leaving the field of play quicker because they can leave from anywhere on the field of play rather than just in the center in the center
Which
of
is
it
which
of
is
the pitch.
rarely enforced. It's rarely
Exactly.
enforced these
So
days.
listen, how many times over the years, particularly in my head, it's always seems to be Champions League games. If United are losing, and say we're playing a PSG and Angel Di Maria is getting subbed off, and he takes a lifetime to get off the pitch, like, and
What
yet
an
you know,
example! What an
yeah, yeah,
example!
do you know what I mean? You just want to get him, get run on, grab him by the
Your
scruff of the
bias
neck, and
coming out, is it?
we've actually seen players do it, grab players and push them off the side of the field of play. So I do think from that type of thing to be punished is a good thing because if they're slowing down the game, taking the momentum out of the game, the incoming player has to wait 60 seconds to come on. So, you know, something could happen in that minute. A lot can happen in football, as we well know. You know, the other team could go down and score a goal. So I do think that that is a good law.
Well, see, the whole idea was that the referee was going to monitor this and add on the time, so it didn't really matter that if people wanted to take an age to walk off, that's fine. He'll just add on the 2 minutes or
Yeah.
whatever it takes. And at
But
the start of the season, we were getting these 7, 8, 9, 10 minute add-ons, and people went ballistic over
yeah.
it.
But see, a lot of the time, I know people give out about the time added on, but as well, like I said, it takes the momentum out of the game. If you're on the attack, it takes that momentum and kills it. With
Mm.
this, you've literally 10 seconds to leave, if not the player's 60 seconds. So in 10 seconds isn't too long. So you'd have to either, if you're the far side of the pitch, just go off the side of the pitch there, and then the game gets back on. It's only a 10-second delay, where but we've seen a minute and a half and all before, and it takes that momentum out, and you know, it really does harm the attacking team. You know.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I just sometimes I look at the fourth officials on the sideline and they're as bewildered trying to get subs together as it is. Now, if you're asking them to time things and do all these other things and all, it'll certainly be a little
But
bit bewildering for them.
like I said, the MLS is a really good league for bringing all these
Mm.
kind of new laws in to test them out and stuff. We've seen it so
Yeah.
many times before, so hopefully it'll be good. Like I said, the in stadium VAR announcements be very interesting. Be almost like
Mm.
rugby style and stuff like that. So, and again, listen, it's one thing introducing them to the MLS and seeing how they work. It's going to be another thing and another time length to see when they'll actually, if approved, when they come over to the Premier League as
Yeah.
well. So listen,
Yeah.
this could come in next season or this season in the MLS. It could take 5, 6, 7, 8 years to come to the Premier League. So I won't be holding
Yeah.
my breath just yet on it. You know.
Yeah, and I suppose in the States with sports as well, there's a culture of this kind of thing,
Yeah.
of stop start and doing
Yeah.
things and also
Exactly.
that necessarily doesn't work that well in Europe. But I do like the in stadium VAR announcements. It'd be interesting to
Yeah.
see that and the way it works. Right, let's talk about finish out with this new spending policy from the Premier League in relation to transfers and all that kind of stuff. I pulled up. I got two slides here off the BBC. One was the total revenues. So it's obviously to see how that is scaled between the top six versus the traditional top six, I
Top
should say,
six. Yeah. Yeah.
versus the rest. And then the other one is the breakdown of. Sorry, the bottom is the breakdown of the revenues as well. The TV revenues. So what they're proposing is basically the bottom TV
Sorry, if I turn it
revenue.
around like this.
Yeah, no, I can full screen it for you if you
No, no,
want.
no, no. Sorry. Go ahead. Go.
Yeah, the bottom one, the TV revenues basically looks at, say, this is 2023, of course. Say Leeds, Southampton, Leicester, all around sort of just over 100 million
Yeah.
of the broadcasting revenue, right? So think of that as a benchmark, the 100 million. So what they want to do is they want to take the lowest TV revenue, which is roughly say 100 million for argument's sake, and they want to multiply that by a factor of 5. So you can spend 500 million.
Yeah.
So for the bigger clubs like the top six and stuff like that, who have quite hefty wage bills,
Yeah,
somewhere in the regions, anywhere from say 150 up to 200 million, say for wages, that takes out literally just under half of your spend. Then you couple that with agent fees, which are roughly about 20%. So
sounds yeah,
if you spend 200 million, you've probably about somewhere in the region of 40 million in agent fees, depending on the number of deals and
yeah,
everything else. Just as a ballpark on it. And then the rest then is left. If you like say 200, say if you've got 200 million roughly in wages, 50 million basically in agent fees, that's 250. So you're basically left with 250 to spend, which is typically, for the bigger clubs, probably they spend more.
yeah.
But the real risk with this is that the smaller clubs, it opens up the floodgates for them because a lot of their wages can be anywhere from 20 million. I think I looked at it, it's about 10, 11 teams before the wages gets anywhere near, 60, 70, 80, 100 million.
Jesus.
So do you open up the floodgates there and these guys are just allowed to spend? And what does that do? Does that create more competition and even things out a little bit? But is it sustainable? Is the
Yeah,
question.
that's the thing.
And
Yeah,
that's the risk for me on this one. And I know with this, there's no real easy way to go about this. You've profit and sustainability, you've FFP, you've all this sort of stuff that's going on. How do they figure it out? And a lot of the bigger clubs will argue that they've invested over years in creating their brands
brands
and their
exactly. Yeah,
partnerships and their globalization, all that. You look at United for years, spent a fortune developing their global partnerships and all this kind of stuff. So naturally, their revenues are up here.
yeah,
Then you look at teams maybe like a Bournemouth, for argument's sake, who wouldn't have made that investment,
yeah,
but are still part of a huge global league, if you like.
exactly.
So what's your thoughts? I mean, how do you find a balance? Like how do you give Bournemouth the opportunity, you know, maybe to be in the conversation for better players? And bringing better players, and then what happens to them in terms of sustainability? Because obviously they don't have the match day revenues because the
Yeah,
stadiums aren't the
because
size they
stadium was
are.
tiny and stuff. Yeah,
So that for me is the big one. So that's why you always get it linked to revenues and stuff like that. Because I think that maybe guarantees a little bit more that if you're adhering to the rules, you've less chance of kind of going bust.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Whereas I think if you turned around to Bournemouth tomorrow, and then maybe Bournemouth are a bad example, maybe they're a better club, ran a better way. But if you've got a club there that has huge ambitions of breaking in there,
But
an example,
listen, it's tough because you look at the top six. And you look below it, you wouldn't see a Bournemouth or a Brighton or whoever like breaking into the market in Singapore or in America, like the traditional top six have, and going
yeah,
over on these tours, and like you said, Vitality for instance, I think costs 14, 15,000. They're never gonna have the same revenue as even the likes of a Brighton. Brighton has what 25, 30,000 there. They've nearly double of what Bournemouth have. But I think from a money point of view, of they must have been looking at what Nottingham Forest spend on their wages and say, "Oh, sure, we might as well give everyone a go down that." Yeah,
and
listen,
look how that's turned out.
exactly. They're trying to improve it. They're trying to spread it out slightly and give the so-called lesser teams an opportunity to spend and hopefully spend wisely within
Mm.
their means. But for a lot of the teams, it's one thing getting it; it's another thing trying to attract the player there to the club because there's so many other bigger clubs around, and agents
Yeah.
want bigger fees as well.
Yeah, like I mean, if you're a Bournemouth and you want to start signing £50 million players, and you're able to do that within the confines of this,
Yeah,
that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get the player. Because if you're looking at a player that's 50 million quid, the chances are yous might be looking at him, we might be looking at
yeah.
him, City might be looking at him,
And
everyone else
don't
might be
forget
looking at
now,
him.
because a 15 million player isn't world class. He's average at best. You're not no not in
Yeah.
in the sense
No,
of
but
money
yeah, I
wise.
know where you come from in terms of value and all that, and the way that has changed and all. So it's going to be interesting, and it was interesting that 16 teams voted on it,
Yeah,
and a number of teams obviously said no, which
yeah.
were the obvious ones, and then Chelsea abstained for some strange
I wonder
reason.
why.
Yeah, it's weird, like, but yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one for me. I just don't know how. I think they're trying to figure out a way of leveling the playing field,
Yeah, exactly.
Because the fear is the way that the direction that the league is heading in at the moment. I think, regardless of whether you're a City fan or any other fan, I don't think it's a good look. I don't think it's a sustainable look. If you have City being this team year in, year out. And I
Year
know
out. Yeah,
people will turn around and go, well, it's up to other teams to go and do what needs to be done. That's all well and good. But we're trying to do what needs to be done. Arsenal are trying to do what needs to be done. You're trying to do what needs to be done. City are still continuing to do what needs to be done on top of that.
exactly.
Um, look at it. Look
Someone's
at
just
this.
popped in there.
Look at this fraud. This fraud shows up at the end of the show, and he wants to stick the dagger in. Liverpool's title hopes ended by West Ham.
Steve,
Liverpool's title hopes
you
ended
missed
with
it. See, you
United.
missed the top of the show. Niall was actually singing "Forever Blowing Bubbles" at the top of the show. You missed it.
Oh my God,
He
this
had what
guy.
was he, man? Alf Garnett. Do you remember him?
Oh man, Liverpool's title hopes ended by West Ham.
I think you might find, Steve, someone ended their title hopes a few weeks ago with a 2-2 draw. Just saying.
I think our title hopes were ended weeks ago. Forget about the mathematics of this. Look at how we were playing. And
Yeah,
you,
no,
you,
true that.
you absolute fraud comes on here and throws that at me. You
Ah,
absolute fraud.
in fairness, he's probably watching the snooker. Mark Allen is 12-11 ahead now.
And Anthony Taylor saving your ass and calling on a physio for your keeper when he wasn't even injured and whistling and stopping Cody Gakpo through on goal to score a goal. Give over. Give over.
Didn't even see Darren Gallagher's take on that. Did they ask him today?
I don't care. I can't watch
Yeah.
it anymore. I don't even care if he said he was wrong or he was right. I just don't care anymore. I
Yeah.
just want the season done. I want the season done at this stage. Stephen, I still
So,
love you, mate. Still love you. Still love you. But that's shocking. That's shocking to come on and do that to me. God, in my hour of need, Stephen, you
I
deserted
say
me
he
and you
must have
stuck the
been just
dagger in.
sitting by the phone or whatever, just waiting. Right, they're gonna finish up in a minute. I'm just gonna throw this in as the last comment now. Love it.
These lads absolutely crowbarring Moyes out the door after he won a European trophy for them. Crowbarring him out the door. I can't get rid of him quick enough. Good Lord,
No
you come on,
shame.
you do
No
that to me.
shame at all.
No, I tell you, shameless, these guys in the chat, shameless. But yeah, as I said about that, I don't know what the ideal situation is. And I don't even know whether, trying to even out the playing field is something that can be achieved. I just think the way it's all built up over history and everything else, you got those top six or traditional top six,
Yeah, yeah.
17 in there.
It's
And
it's good they're starting a conversation about and trying to do something about it though at the same time, isn't it?
yeah, but just yourself in that situation, I wouldn't trust these guys to bring anything meaningful into that. Look at it. He knows how I feel about it. Look at this. Antonio Masterclass. Where has that guy been all season? Apart from doing interviews and being on radio shows and giving out shit about Liverpool basically
Listen,
all
he
season.
was there when
That
it
guy
mattered
is
on
that
Saturday.
guy is an absolute fraud. He's a fraud. The fact that that guy calls himself a forward is an absolute disgrace. A disgrace. And the fact that you came on and if you had said Bowen, I would have went, yeah, I can live with that. I admire Jared Bowen. That guy is an absolute sham. He's a sham. And you throw him at me. You absolute shameless fraud.
Could be worse. He
Can't
could have said
believe it.
Danny Dwyer.
My God. This oh, shouldn't expect it any different. This guy tells me to buy gobbledygooker figures. What else can I say? What else
The
can I say?
gobbledygooker.
What
Jesus
else can I
Christ,
say?
man.
Stephen, we'll have fun tomorrow night during Pro Wrestling Weekly. We'll definitely have fun on that. There's no doubt about it. And Antonio Masterclass. Good Lord. Anyway, folks, that's it. I check out at that. As if I'm not feeling bad enough, I check out that. West Ham ended our title hopes, and Antonio Masterclass sums it all up, doesn't it? Hang
When
on.
he was jumping in the air, did you think to yourself, that's gotta be Antonio"?
Why didn't Gakpo just put the ball in the net and then let Farr sort it out?
He stopped and he asked Anthony Taylor as if, "Can I do this?"
He was
Yeah,
running by Anthony Taylor
yeah.
getting the info, and Anthony Taylor realised he'd made an absolute balls of it. So
Blew the
he
whistle.
started out running
Yeah.
Gakpo to get to the ball. I was just waiting on Anthony Taylor to tackle him, to be honest. It was
That says a lot
unbelievable.
about Liverpool's fitness at the minute when Anthony Taylor's out running Gapco.
It's fair. 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 Do you know what would have happened? If Cody Gakpo had to put the ball in the back of the net, he probably would have sent him off or booked him or something.
Yeah. Now
This
Everton
is
get
what
a
would have
10-point
happened.
deduction.
Have you ever seen a keeper there going, I don't need any treatment? And the ref is going, physio,
Yeah.
come on. And I'm there looking going, is this guy got a Hammers jersey underneath that black ref's jersey or what's going on here? Give over.
He must have his money on the draw, or he must have been. I'm telling you,
Give over.
must have been something like
Listen,
that.
I'll take the beatings on the chin. I do it week in, week out if I have to. I'll also praise teams when I have to praise teams. But my God, that was an absolute shambles. Do you know how bad it got? It got so bad that our star forward wanted to box the head off our manager. That's how
Yeah,
bad it got.
that's it.
Toxic as be damned. Toxic as be
Listen,
damned.
there's always this weekend to look forward to, I suppose.
David Moyes for life. David Moyes for life. There you go. It's all in there.
Noisy.
Listen, folks, until next time, thanks for joining us. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button, drop a like in the video. I'll be back tomorrow night with Pro Wrestling Weekly. We're going to be talking about Tony Khan, Pepsi, Harvey Weinstein. We're going to be talking about a lot of stuff tomorrow night, that's for sure.
Harvey
Cracking
Weinstein.
show, lads. Good night. Big up, William. Thanks for
Cheers,
joining us.
William.
Acers, you
Big
need to
Will.
give that over right now. I don't need to hear
Right.
that either. Atalanta either, right? Don't be giving me any of that
Lad,
nonsense
love it.
either. Subscribe to the channel, folks. Hit the bell notification button and drop a like on the video. We'll talk to you again real soon. Stephen, you fraud. 1 point from Palace, Everton, and West Ham. Give over. Yeah, and you're taking. Hang on. I was going to end the show there. And you're taking the achievement of it. 1 point from Palace, Everton, and West Ham, and you're taking the achievement. Good Lord, you absolute fraud. Enjoy your evening. Talk to you soon, folks. Cheers, cuz.
Cheers.